Hey, what's up guys? This is Astranox. Today we're going to be talking about Holiday Yufine. I have her damage multipliers. I'll talk about how you should be building this hero, ways to build this hero. I will be showcasing Holiday Yufine when she does get released, so stay tuned for that. So thanks to YufineThrowaway on Reddit. The link is in the description if you want to go check the data mine. So yes, I will talk about her damage multipliers. And let's look at this hero, right? That's her stats. Great balance of stats. Survival is quite good. I mean, she's a warrior, fire warrior, Libra star sign. The attack is fairly high considering she's got burn on skill 1. And the memory imprints, you got health for front position and bottom position. That's good. I mean, yes. And the self memory imprint is 18% attack. Also great if you want to get that attack increase so you can get more burn damage. Very nice. And what else do we have? She doesn't have effectiveness from awakening, which would be actually helpful. Her skill number 2, her passive, Let's Eat Together, reduce the effect of decreased combativeness debuffs inflicted on all allies by 50% after skill ups. How does that work? It means that if there's an enemy that is going to reduce your combativeness of any hero on the team or your whole team by, let's say, 30%, which is bizarre, then this will cut it in half. It will halve it. So instead of being a 30% combativeness pushback, it will be a 15% combativeness pushback instead. Any sorts of CR pushback will be cut in half. Very, very strong because it works for the whole team. And her evasion is increased by 50% when she is at max health. So her survival on turn 1 or on the subsequent turns, if she is at max health, is actually quite high. I mean, 50% evasion is very, very good. If the enemy is missing you, if you are evading, that means they are dealing 75% of normal damage. They cannot land any debuff, and they cannot land a critical hit on you or a crushing hit. So your survival definitely goes through the roof, but it is luck based. It is luck based. And there is something I don't know 100%. The way I've been talking about it in the past is that she's got 50% evasion, right? And then if the enemy is at elemental disadvantage, meaning they have a 50% chance of missing because of that, do you put them together? Is her evasion 50% plus they can miss, so it's another 50%. So now they will miss 100% of the time. Or the way I've been thinking and I've been talking about is that she's got evasion 50% and it will be a double check. That means like they will miss 50% because of elemental disadvantage, and then there's going to be a second check, which means like yes, if she evades, it's going to be a miss. But if not, then the hit might actually land. So is it you add them together or they are two separate rolls? So let us know in the comment section if you know for sure how that works, because I'm very curious about it. Her skill number 3, Yufine's Special. 5 turn cooldown down to 4 turn cooldown after skill ups. And she does a lot of stuff with this skill. I mean, dispel 2 debuffs from all allies, attacks all the enemies, and she gets greater attack buff after dealing the damage for 2 turns, and also push the combativeness of the whole team, including herself, by 20%. Man, oh man, that is a very, very strong skill number 3 right there. You got the soul burn that extend the duration of buffs granted by the skill by 1 turn. So greater attack buff will last for 3 turns instead of 2. I mean, there might be some moments where you actually want to do that, but something I want to let you guys know is that if you have greater attack buff, and if greater attack buff is about to expire, you have 1 turn left, if anyone on your team applies normal attack buff, it will extend the duration of the greater attack buff for the length of that normal attack buff. Just so you know, greater attack buff is 75% attack increase, normal attack buff is 50% attack increase. So this skill number 3, what kind of damage multipliers does she have? It is 187%, which is actually, it's pretty decent. It's pretty decent, but she will be at elemental disadvantage versus ice. So keep that in mind. Her skill number 1 is not at elemental disadvantage though. But yes, now we're talking about skill number 3. A lot of stuff is going on with this skill number 3. You could build her so she goes after an enemy bazaar. So you're removing the buff, the enable to be buff debuff. You're removing stun from the team if there's Abyssal Crown that triggered as well, which very, very strong right there. But you need to have her on immunity because yes, let's say Bazaar, he misses, right? Because the evasion and because he's at elemental disadvantage. So there's that. He will not be dispelling. She will still have immunity, and then the Abyssal Crown is a secondary hit, and there's no elemental disadvantage with that. If you miss, you can land the artifacts debuff. So that's why she needs immunity. That's why she needs it, and then she could potentially, remove the enable to be buff debuff plus the stun. Very, very strong. A game-changing move right there. Push the combat units by 20%. Set herself up with the greater attack buff for the following turns. Very, very strong. And the damage on this from the skill ups is actually 30%, which is actually quite normal. I would say that yes, you can build pretty much any hero in the game as a damage dealer, as a cleaver if they have AoE damage. I mean, you have the proper setup, you got the attack buff or greater attack buff, and then you got defense break applied on the enemy team. That setup, any hero can do great damage. Probably even support heroes, to be honest, unless their base attack is very low, let's say. But yes, she can definitely cleave. You could be using her with auxiliary lots. Build her slow, a high crit, like 100% crit damage as high as possible, as much attack percentage as possible on your gear, your substats, and you make her slow. I mean, Oxlots push her, she pushed the rest of the team by 20% CR. The problem with that is that you're not going to be building her to go second. That means you're not going to be using the dispelling on turn 1, which you lose value there. But yes, she will have attack buff, she will deal some pretty good damage with skill 1, but she will be at elemental disadvantage versus ice, so keep that in mind, right? And then you can follow up with that skill number 1. Let's talk about it. Skill number 1, just 1 bite. And this thing applies burn, 60% chance after skill ups, which is good because you should be building her, to be honest, as a hero that deals damage based on burn, because you can put Junkyard Dog 5-star artifact from the Guilty Gear collaboration on her, and I believe it's like a 55 or 60% chance to apply burn for 2 turns, which is extremely powerful, and it does work with AoE attacks that hits everyone on the enemy team. So it's even more powerful than her skill 1 because it's going to be 60% chance to apply burn for 2 turns instead of 1. And now you could have potentially 2 burn effects from this skill and from the Junkyard Dog artifact. And if she's built with high attack and she already has the greater attack buff, man oh man, like she's got attack percentage on herself, memory imprint as well to push it even further. So this attack is gonna be an attack that hits everyone when it's actually her turn. When used on the caster's turn, just 1 bite becomes an attack that targets all enemies. Changed attack is unaffected by elemental disadvantage and does not trigger a dual attack. So you will not be calling an ally if there's no dual attack that will trigger here. Damage increase is 30% out of this, which is, it's normal. And just imagine, man, the constant AoE attacks toward the enemy team, very dangerous. But it's also dangerous for herself. I mean, you've got to worry about the disadvantages there. Just think about it. ML Ken's on the enemy team. What if you built her with high crit chance? He's going to be countering her and popping her, right? Unless you've got, Aureus, Adamant Shield, Barrier. You've got maybe Troublemaker, Crozet, or Ethan with, damage redirection. Defense buff on herself, anti-crit buff, yeah, I mean, that's very specific. That is a lot of stuff supporting her for going like a damage dealing setup. So if she's going as a damage dealer and she's landing crits like with skill number 3 and skill number 1, then worry about ML Ken. And then you can worry about elemental disadvantage because skill number 3 is not like skill number 1. It doesn't, is not it is affected by elemental disadvantage. And there's quite a few ice heroes, you know, in the meta. Well, not so much anymore, but still. Yeah, if you do build her for burn damage, now you can increase her survival. You will not have as much critical hit chance, which means MLK is not a hero you have to worry too much about, which is very good. That is very good. And what about Elbrus Ritual Sword? You know, what about the built-in counter mechanism? MLK can still counter if he's built on high crit chance. He's got counter built in. It's not 100% chance, but still 30% chance there. If there's counter sets on the enemy team, yeah, worry about all that stuff. You can't build her with high damage, high survival. You need to worry about immunity set too, and then pumping her attack as much as possible, landing crit damage. I mean, and then if she doesn't have speed, you have to push her CR forward with like Oxlots. That is a lot of stuff to worry about. Thankfully, you don't have to worry about Tegil's Ancient Book, getting souls on her to soul burn for more damage. So there is at least that. Her own artifact increases her effectiveness up to 30%. This will be like 22%, 23% at plus 15. So if you just have one copy, not bad. I mean, some boost in stats right there. And then you got you know, chance to stun the enemy for one turn after using a basic skill. This effect is not activated by a counter attack, dual attack, or extra attack. So you're getting value from the effectiveness, and you could potentially stun. This is like Abyssal Crown for warriors, but it only works for the basic skill. So for herself and for, let's say, Baptiste, with his extra attack that he does, it's an AoE attack. You could have some fun with that. But Baptiste is not a hero that you see in PvP, and he does require the attack break debuff to be on the target. So definitely not viable for PvP. Just saying the use of this champion's trophy. Now the stun at plus 15 enhanced could be like 20%. It's 19 or 20% chance at plus 15. So it's quite reasonable considering the amount of time she's going to be doing AoE attacks with skill number 1. It will be quite devastating. So she will be released on July the 30th, and I will be showcasing her, like I said. Now, in terms of ways to be building this hero, Holiday Yufine, I would definitely build her as a burn hero to deal damage. So that means burn, if you don't know, is based on 60% of your attack stat, and it penetrates 70% of the target's defense. This is like when you have defense break applied on the target, that is a 70% defense reduction. So burn has built in the same penetration as defense break, but it's very strong. It is actually very strong, but you need to land it. But if you do land it, it's quite deadly. Quite deadly. Is twice as powerful as bleeding. Bleeding is only 30% of your own attack. Burn is 60%. So very good, very good. So the way you would build her is on her necklace, I would go attack percentage. To be honest, I would have, it doesn't matter if it's the necklace or the boots. If you're going to be building her slow, which to be honest, I don't really recommend unless you're going to be using an Oxlots and the heavy CR pushing. I would go with attack percentage on the necklace, I would go with effectiveness on the ring, and I would go with speed on the boots. Or if you have a CR pusher, you could go with attack percentage on the boots to push it even further. But you have to rely on the burn damage. If you want to deal any sort of damage out of this hero, it will not be direct damage. It will be based on the burn. And I would use her with, if you're really going for the damage, I would use her with Junkyard Dog. This will definitely push her through the roof in terms of like potential burst damage. Imagine landing 2 burns. Wow, it's just gonna deal so much. With the attack buff, the greater attack buff, sorry, because she uses skill 3 first, it is 75% attack increase. So you will have, you have other options, right? You could go with, one is attack percentage and one is health percentage, and you got effectiveness on the ring. So you could go like attack percentage on the boots or on the necklace, and the other one's going to be health percentage if you want to boost her survival, which is, to be honest, like more realistic because she does need survival unless you're going to be putting layers upon layers of protection throughout your team. Like I said, Aureus, barrier, adamant shield, you know, maybe a troublemaker crozet, defense buff, anti-crit buff. It's just too many things going on and too many things that you do require. But if that is your plan, you could build her with double attack percentage and effectiveness. If you somehow have amazing effectiveness on your substats, you could go with even triple attack percentage on the right side if you want to go crazy. If you know for sure you're going with like pure damage, you're going with there's immunity to worry about. You can't just Oxlots push her, do some damage, but really like it's about you know, getting the greater attack buff and pushing the rest of the team by 20% CR with skill number 3. And then you start using skill 1, you push her again with green lots. You could do that. You know, I've been doing that in Guild Wars with Sermia. It's a lot of fun and very effective. But with Holiday Yufine, you need to worry about immunity, which is rampant in PvP. Like, you know, any sort of like PvP in higher leagues, immunity is all over the place. And that's not only it. You have to worry also about evading. You know, if the enemy is evading, you're not landing your debuff, so worry about that as well. This is actually her skill number 3, just before it actually deals damage. You can see here that it dealt nothing. Look at the barrier. The way they've built her, I believe, is high speed, high effectiveness, a bit of survival, because you can see her at only 12,000 health. So yeah, the damage is definitely underwhelming. Still, the multiplier is at 187%. Yes, you can deal damage with this hero, but to be honest, like, it requires too much setup. She's going to be a glass cannon. You're going to require too many things to defense break, you know, attack buff, CR push. You're going to go with like critical hit damage neck, and then you're going to go with attack percentage ring and attack percentage boots. But then like you're losing on the potential burn damage and the survival increase if you went with a burn build. So you're also losing speed. You have to, you know, you need the rest of your team to help her to be able to do that. And then there's the 15% innate resist. And then there's elemental disadvantage to worry about on skill number 3. And then there's the downtime between skill number 3 and skill number 1. That is definitely a big problem there if you're trying to get to doing your AoEs on skill number 1 and get your great attack buff beforehand. It's just too many things going on. So you could be building her with... yeah, you could build her with like 200 speed up to like, you know, 220, 230, maybe 240. It depends on your league, where you are in Arena, World Arena, and Guild Wars, what kind of speed Bazaars have. So you would have her go after Bazaar, and she needs to be faster than the rest of your team to use the CR push. So yeah, now you can see her use her skill number 1, and she's got the greater attack buff. And boom, like they have skill nullifier in the hero preview video, so we can't even see how much damage she dealt there. But you can see there's defense break because of Seaside Bellona in the team. Still, the multiplier is 181% on a spammable skill number 1. That is still very powerful with greater attack buff, very deadly. So I'm very curious about how much damage she can really output with her skill number 1, the burn. I mean, the burns. I will be trying her out with just like pure damage, you know, but the account I'm going to be building her on doesn't have green lots set up. Still, we can definitely see what kind of damage she does output, but I can tell you that the burn is the way to go. But still, with the... she's always eating. So nice. Okay, let's just go back to the skills real quick. Just the fact that she has all these things going on for herself with her skills. Like, I mean, skill number 3, look at how much value you're getting out of this thing. If you make her slower than Bazaar, you're doing really well. And then her survival on turn 1 is going to be very good because of the evasion 50%. But the thing is it's a chance. If they're coming in against you and you have her on your defense, or you're using her in the World Arena, they're trying to cleave you with the Oxlots, Judge Kieser, Oxlots, whatever, like BBK, any sort of cleaver, or they're just going first and they're trying to you know, take out your enemy, your team. Then maybe they're ignoring her, but still, she does have that that evasion, which will definitely come in. And if you have her on your defense, be it like Arena, Guild Wars, they will have to think about like, well, she's got that 50% evasion. I'm trying to take out this enemy team. What if she's built on damage? What if like, yeah, what if I get outsped? What if she's built on damage and still I go first, but then there's the evasion kicking in and she survives, and then she's skill 3, the rest of the team goes in after that, and then, you know, clear the debuffs, greater attack buff, and then she started doing skill 1 and already lost one of my damage. Like, yes, she could be dangerous. She could definitely be dangerous, but you will need some survival. You can't rely everything on this evasion. She's just going to end up dying. And evasion is not nullifying all the damage. They're still dealing 75% of normal damage. Yes, they're not critting, they're not landing debuffs, they're not landing any crushing hit, but still, she's taking damage nonetheless. So all these things considered, I feel like she will definitely be very powerful. She will definitely counter Bazaar like teams real hard, because the way she her kit is made. And if you're going to be building her slower than Bazaar, pushing the rest of your team, which is the way I use her, I mean, not herself, but the way I use Ray. He doesn't have a CR push, but I make him slower than Bazaar, and he goes, you know, he cleanse, heal, apply immunity. So you could be building her like this, you know, but you will need more speed than a Ray because she has CR push. So you could make her, like I said, depend on your league, but 20% CR pushback, CR push for the whole team is very nice. You could be using her as your first CR pusher, your secondary pusher. So if you want to build her with more damage, so different ways to be building her. But like I said, I'll be showcasing her, and we'll see together what is actually viable with this hero, what way she should be really built. But the way I'm seeing things, definitely go for the burn. And if you're putting her utilities to good use and then you're using the burns, she might not be a hero that one-shots, but that damage throughout the whole fight. If the enemy cannot take you out and you're just constantly putting pressure on them and the burns are landing here and there, then yes, I mean, she can definitely be a big threat, and then they will have to shift to take her out when they see how much damage she's dealing with those burns. If they don't have cleansing and you're able to bring her health back up to 100%, that evasion is going to be kicking in, and then that's another thing they have to worry about. What about using Holiday Yufine in PVE? I talked about PvP with this hero, but in PvE, you can be definitely using her in Astranox Hunt, right? She does AoE attacks non-stop, so you can definitely deal with the ads. If you have Daydream Joker artifact, 3-star artifact on herself that deals damage based on the target's max health, this will be very nice in PvE. So Astranox Hunt, that is one where she can definitely do great. And beside that, well, the Dispelling will come in real nice for taking care of those debuffs in Astranox Hunt, or any type of content really. The CR push for the team is going to be nice as well. The greater attack buff means that she doesn't need you know, an attack buffer in the team as well, and she can perform really well with her own kit. Now you have that, and then you have the CR push cutting in half, CR pushback from the enemy. You cut that in half. This will be helpful in PvE as well. The evasion by 50% increase at max HP. Another thing that's boosting her survival right there. That's very good. And if there's barrier on her, her health will not even go down, and then you could keep that evasion going. And in terms of stats for PvE, it's very good, very well balanced, of course. You could use maybe the health increase for front and bottom position to target, you know, the tank in the front, whatever, and squish your hero in the bottom position. So that could be one way to go about it. And her skill number 1, I mean, yes, the burn, that's good. I mean, you're not going to be using her in Wyvern, any sort of serious Wyvern team, because she's fire and you're just going to give CR to the boss. She does have burn, but it's not a 100% chance. And I mean, yes, you can do damage. Any hero can deal damage there, but you should be using eyes. And when you have Daydream Joker, you're pumping that crit chance to 100%. You have critical damage as high as possible, as much speed as possible. Yes, pretty much any hero can do some pretty decent damage with Daydream Joker. But don't bring her in there in any real team. Golem, she can be used. The problem is the burn will be taken off by the tree. He will be removing that. So you can't rely on burn damage. You could go full on damage with Daydream Joker, as much critical hit damage, speed as possible with 65% effectiveness if you want to rely on some burn damage. Yes, you can build her like that for PvE content. Now for the Abyss is somewhere where she can definitely help quite a bit. You have the constant stream of AoE attacks with this hero. You have the fact that she's not at elemental disadvantage with her skill 1. Very good. And the burn will not really be helpful when it comes down to Abyss. You need to deal damage based on the target's max health, which means Daydream Joker. That's how she's going to deal crazy damage. You build her, like I said, high crit chance 100%. Crit damage as much as possible, and as much speed as possible so she can cycle as fast as possible. Now, the attack stat, when you rely on Daydream Joker artifact, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about burn damage. The targets will have a lot, the enemy will have a lot of health in the Abyss. So Daydream Joker, don't worry about the attack stat. And yes, she can definitely be very devastating. And you could be using her with, I mean, she could be a crowd controller, but Daydream Joker will perform better, to be honest. You could use her with her own artifact. Maybe you land a stun here and there, but yeah, it's not gonna be that great. The constant AoE attacks with Daydream Joker will be powerful. If you trying to do a floor that doesn't, you don't want any debuff, then just drop her effectiveness down to 0% maybe. And yes, I mean, you could be using her. I have to check how much morale we actually get from her in raids, so I'm very curious about that. So she could be very good in Labyrinth and raids because just the fact that she's doing attacks that hits everyone, that will skyrocket her damage throughout the whole raid, Labyrinth, or whatever, the whole fight. So definitely very good there. Hell Raid with Daydream Joker, so she's going to be dealing a lot of damage as well. The fact that her skill number 3 has a lot of stuff going for itself is very welcome as well. And the passive could definitely come in handy, especially the evasion. Just skyrocketing her survival through the roof, really. And beside that, let's say Automaton Tower, yes, you could be using her as a speed clearer for Automaton Tower. You could be using her, I mean, it's not going to be a build that's going to be popular for her in PvP, but because you should go for burn. But for PvE, you could be using her as your speed farmer because her skill 1 is an AoE, her skill 3 is an AoE. This is unaffected by elemental disadvantage, and there's no animation with skill number 1. But I mean, you could just be using 3-star Ice Warrior LENA. You could be using Vildred, Arbiter Vildred, Strong Friends. You don't have to worry to make her a speed farmer. But yes, let's say you're an early game player, you could be building her like that, especially with the free gear. So that's just one way to go about it, and then you could transition her to like a PvE build more for like Abyss, and then you could transition her to a burn build in PvP, or more leaning toward the supporter side, and some damage on the side as well. But yeah, I mean, definitely gonna be a super hero for PvE as well. Not in all content, but she can definitely be used in multiple areas of the game. That means you can invest your MolaGoras into this hero and be safe. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Can't wait for this hero to be released. But that's going to be it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. I'm Astranox. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. Press the bell icon to be notified whenever I release a new video. And check out my other videos. They should be showing up on the screen now. Got playlists of all sorts for PvE and PvP. Arena, Guild Wars, Guys Sips and How-Tos, the best floor 62+, as well as best other guides for my early to mid-game players. Join my Discord server, almost 2,000 members. If you need help, join us, guys. Yeah, just ask for help, or if you want to help other players, join my Discord. And check out my second YouTube channel. All my extra gameplay videos are going there, so check it out. The link is in the description. But that's really it for this one. Good luck with all you do. I'm Astranox. Peace out for now.